Good evening, race fans, and welcome to another exciting edition of MotorSports Magazine. On tap tonight, highlights of a regular card for the Street Stocks Flying Tigers and Late Model Sportsman. And some of these Flying Tiger drivers tonight may be a little extra careful. They have a big 20-lap main event scheduled tomorrow at the Senair Super Speedway in conjunction with the American Canadian Tour, a $4,000 purse. 500 of that going to the winner. We'll talk about it and a whole lot more during the course of the show. Right now, I want to bring in my colleague, Rob Knowles, and I can tell you this, even though it's a regular show, last week with double points on the line, and that's all been settled, there's nothing been really settled yet. Anybody can win any of our titles.
Sure is, Steve, especially in the late model sportsman division. Really, that seems like it's up for grabs right now, and last week, a car that is not even in the top 10 dominated the field in the late model sportsman class the way no other car has at Airborne in a long time. Doug Hoare was really dialed in last week.
Well, in 9 official starts, he has 3 wins now, so that's a pretty remarkable winning percentage. Probably won't be his only 3 wins of the year, and had he had a little bit more luck or maybe made a couple of extra shows that he missed, he'd be right up there in the points battle.
Right. Right now, he sits just inside the top 20, I believe.
Doug is actually 9th right now. Big jump after last week. Doug sits with 624 points, but that's quite a distance from the 787 that Dave Wickham has on top of him.
All right, so the double points last week brought him from, he must have been 15th or 16th heading into the night, brought him into the top 10 with the double points last week.
Yeah, he was, exactly. And, of course, some of the guys way up near the point standing didn't have a great night. Let's remember, Steve Rennet never raced a lap at all.
The next point I was going to bring up, what happened to Steve Rennet?
He went from 2nd to 7th. See what happens when you miss those double point nights?
2nd to 7th in one night, and the hopes of Steve Rennet probably to win the championship might have just gone right out the window on that one Saturday night.
Oh, no doubt about it. 4 weeks of racing in August. We ended all the first week in October. Nothing in September. That's not a whole lot of racing left. And Dave Wickham hasn't shown signs of slowing up. And let's remember, Brent Dragon is 2nd, Pete Fecto in 3rd. Those 2 guys are pretty consistent as well.
In the Flying Tiger division last week, a strong win for the 49 of Mike Bushy. A lot of cars looked like they would be top contenders. Of course, at one point it was the 0 of Mark Barnier running out in front. And then we thought no one would be able to hang with Barnier, but eventually the 49 not only hung with Mark Barnier, he got away from him.
Exactly. In another situation where winning on double points night did wonders for him. All year long we've talked about the big 4, namely Lamberton, Leo, Williams, and Hutchins, and throwing Mark Eddy and Mark Barnier in there. Well, do you know right now after that win, Mike Bushy is 4th in points, only 176 out of Eric Williams' lead. Big jump for him.
Steve, what happened to Mark Lamberton last week? We know last that you saw MotorSports Magazine, Mark hard ride up off of turn 4. What is his status?
I went in the pits after the race, and I did not see his crew because his crew and him left rather early. I was told the front end was basically demolished. As far as they know, they weren't even going to attempt to fix it. It was destroyed. There is a rumor circulating that he may have a ride. He's not here tonight. We won't go any further until we find out if it's true, of course.
All right, in the street stocks last week, car number 60 in victory lane for the first time. Good win for that Gwinnett car.
Well, you know, Terry Gunnip has some great runs this year. It was his first win in his 12 starts, but here's something for you. 12 starts, he's only been out of the top 10 once, so let's just admit he's been a pretty strong car all year. The big story there is Brian Pugh getting kicked to the back of the pack twice, so he didn't win like we thought he would, and his points lead now only 22 over the 92 of Dan Gibbs. You know, Dan Gibbs still may have something left for that 29.
Steve, what's on tap this evening for the fans watching MotorSports Magazine?
A regular show for all 3 divisions. We don't expect anything super spectacular with the Tigers because, like I said, they have a big race tomorrow at Senair, 4,000 purse, 500 to win. But you think that's something? Next week here at Airborne, a 100-lap main event for the Flying Tigers. We're going to have a bunch of them.
Should be a real good race next week with that 100-lap Flying Tiger feature. But not to be outdone this week, pull up your favorite chair. MotorSports Magazine from Airborne. It's about to kick off as we'll have highlights from the late model sportsman, Flying Tigers, and the street stocks, and an interview with Glenn Wright. It's all next. Stay with us. MotorSports Magazine from Airborne. Rob Knowles and Steve Hayes.
Getting set for the first action of the evening. The Flying Tigers get the honors. Mike Nass, Mike Wells in the front row, Moon Miller, Jeff Plunkett, row 2, Ernie Holmes, Brian Bushy, row 3, Toby Ebersol, and the blue 20 of Steve St. Clair round out the 8-car field. Off and away, 3 wide with St. Clair, hitting the speedy drive but keeping it under control. Nass from the pole takes the early lead, but 2 west left. Miller trying to sneak up on him, unable to do so as the door is shut. Nass opens the door. Our defending street stock champ, Moon Miller, hasn't had a whole lot of success this year, but he has contemplated taking the top spot here. Gets to the inside, powers to the front, Plunkett follows him through. Ernie Holmes trying to split him going down the backstretch. The driver of the 07, Plunkett, remember about a month and a half ago, he tagged the wall, got taken to the hospital? Well, guess what, fans? Last week he pitted about 5 laps early. We found out after the evening's festivities were concluded, he had suffered some fume problems. What I mean by that is a problem with the engine. He was overcome by fumes and needed to go to the hospital, get some oxygen. He is A-OK. Up front, that same Jeff Plunkett all over the back bumper of leader Moon Miller as a caution comes out. Yellow on the Speedway. So all the restarts should be Miller and Plunkett. And I'll tell you what, these are 2 guys who are starting to pick up a little bit. Probably won't be just a matter of time before they get some good finishes.
Two laps complete in this first Flying Tiger heat. Here once again is Steve Hayes.
Our original field of 8 has been shrunk down to 6. Miller, Plunkett, row 1. Holmes, Ebersol, row 2. St. Clair and Wells. Plunkett dirt tracking it out of 4, trying to get a jump on the leader, unable to do so that time. And they'll stay side by side, 3 rows deep, heading into 1. The speedy drive comes into effect. 2 or 3 automobiles got a little bit loose there. Miller tried. He'll open the door for someone behind him. Plunkett not about to give room to the number 99. Plunkett hits that speedy drive I mentioned. You can see the results. He goes way high, loses a spot. Moving into 3rd and only his 2nd appearance at the Speedway this year. The blue 20 of Steve halfway that time by. Moon Miller has a new challenger. It is the green 79 of Ernie Holmes. Behind Holmes, the blue 20 of St. Clair, then Plunkett, Ebersol, and Wells. Moon Miller, he dirt tracks it out of 4. He's about a 5-car length lead on Ernie Holmes right now, but Ernie Holmes' problem is in his rearview mirror. The 20 of St. Clair made an awful bold move going into 1 that time. Lost ground because of it, but you don't know. I think that 20 machine has a little bit more power than it looks like right now. 2 to go for Miller. This time St. Clair doesn't take the left wheels off the track, and he's right on the back bumper of 2nd place. Battle for the lead about to heat up. Ernie Holmes sets to the 2nd groove. Can't quite get enough momentum to pull alongside the leader. Thinks about diving under, but Miller sees that coming, and he blocks that maneuver. White flag, it is going to be Miller and Holmes to decide it unless something should happen. And guess what, fans? That would make 2nd time competitor Steve St. Clair the possible upset winner. 1 set of turns remain for the 99. Out of 4, he'll pick up the first check of the evening. The 99 of Moon Miller, your winner. Ernie Holmes having to settle for 2nd, followed by Steve St. Clair, Jeff Plunkett, Toby Ebersol, and Mike Wells. And Mike Wells busts something at the end of the race, something is dragging from the rear end of the 76. Hopefully he'll get that all fixed. But nothing wrong with this machine. Your winner, the 99 of former street stock champ Moon Miller.
Second flying Tiger heat is on the Speedway. 8 cars in this 2nd heat, 8 laps of distance, and here's Steve Hayes.
Sparky LePen, Tyson Drown in row 1. Gary Wood and Chris Fisher in row 2. Watch that for sure. The 44 of Dave Wilcox. On the outside, I have to wait for him to come out before the sun's in my eye. Here we go. Trouble on the start of the race. Drow got a little bit into the leader, but he straightened it out. Tyson in practice. Up front, surprise, surprise, a 53. In his qualifier, a very strong car. We've become accustomed to that.
Another impressive performance for Gary Wood in streets and
Third Flying Tiger heat is on the Speedway. 9 cars will go 8 laps, and here's Steve Hayes.
Bill Sawyer, Jimmy Young will start from the front row. They will have Wild Ann Benoit and Mark Eddy directly behind them. Third row is the 18 of Brad Duca, the 49 of last week's feature winner Mike Bushy. Then Eldred Hutchins, Jason Leo in row 4, Eric Williams all alone in the 5th row. A strange sight for this qualifier not to see the Lamberton 29 machine out there, but as Rob and I alluded to in the opener, that car is a mess after last week. Sawyer and Young exchange a little bit of sheet metal going through 1 and 2. Door opens for Danny Benoit. Benoit trying to get right to the back bumper of his teammate Sawyer. He will do so going through 3. And as they come storming out of 4, a tightly punched pack, it is Sawyer, Benoit, Eddie Young, your top 4. First 2 qualifiers. Winners turned out to be Gary Wood and Moon Miller. Remember, these guys, maybe a little extra cautious. They have a big race in Cincinnati tomorrow. And, of course, next Saturday, 100 laps in the main event. These guys are highlighted. Jamie Young gets the back end very loose. fights it in, gets it back under control. Good piece of driving by Middlesex, Vermont's Jimmy Young. Meanwhile, back up front, a battle of the teammates, Sawyer and Benoit. Third is Mark Eddy. Eldon Hutchins scored 5. Brad Duca to take fourth. Smoke coming from the back end of the 49 of Mike Bushy, but it appeared to be tire smoke. Looked like he hit the binders rather hard going into one that time. Pretty good battle for fourth between Hutchins and Duca. Duca on the inside, not giving any sort of room whatsoever to Eldred. Nor should he. Trouble up front. The teammates come together. Benoit went for an opening and Sawyer shut the door. Hutchins tags the back end of Benoit. Other problems exist as several cars hit the binders, and now a big problem on Mike Bushy's 49, sending up smoke signals, and what I thought was tire smoke may not be now as big plume of smoke. And Rob, that is definitely a bad sign for the 49 machine. In qualifying, we saw the 9 machine of Dan Bridges to the late model division. He lost an engine. Let's hope Mike Bushy did not suffer the same fate here.
Steve Hayes in the sport of auto racing, how quickly fortunes change. Last week, Mike Bushy pulling home the checkers here at Airborne, and this week it doesn't even look like he's going to make it for the main event.
A major problem for the driver of the 49, and if that is an engine, his chances of being a senior tomorrow are definitely jeopardized at this point.
All right, we're halfway through this third Flying Tiger heat. We'll come back to more racing action on MotorSports Magazine. This is the Flying Tiger Heat on MSM. All right, we're set to rejoin this Flying Tiger Heat. 4 laps complete. Mark Eddy and Eldred Hutchins at the front, Steve Hayes.
And right behind them in row 2, Brad Duquette and points leader Eric Williams. Row 3 occupied by Jason Leo and Jimmy Young. Row 4 are the 2 guys who got that caution all started. The 74 Benoit, the 39 of Sawyer. Here they come out of 4. Eddy and Hutchins very close as they take the green. Hutchins wanted to go low. Eddy wanted to go high. They realized, hey, no need to take us both out. The battle for third. Williams has a position. Duca look to the side of the, Williams hard on the back end of Hutchins. And as he bounced backwards, Duca got the back end of Williams. And that allows Eddy and Hutchins to pull at least 9 or 10 car lengths away from Williams. Now Hutchins looks to the inside. Eddy goes wide. Hutchins doesn't quite have the momentum, but Mark Eddy stays high. Don't give Eldred that kind of an opening. Eventually, you will pay for it. That big lead that I talked about evaporates. Williams right back on the bumper of second place Hutchins. 2 to go. Mark Eddy has 3 of the big names behind him. Hutchins, Williams, and Leo. Can he hang on for another lap and a quarter? White flag. This time, Jason Leo lets it all hang out of 4. Got very loose, but did not lose it all together. It is still Eddy, Hutchins, Williams. It looks like they will decide it between themselves. And if Mark Eddy stays to the inside groove, I don't think anyone will get by him. Comes out of 4. He will be the first across the strike. Eddy wins it over Hutchins, Williams. Benoit up to 4th. Leo settling for 5th. Followed by Jimmy Young, Brad Duquette, and Bill Sawyer. Well, Mark Eddy, pretty impressive run. But can he do it a little bit later in the big 20-lap main event, Rob?
Oh, I think he can. Mark Eddy really doesn't get a lot of headlines in these events here at Airborne. I don't believe he's been victorious in a feature event this season.
I don't think so.
But he is a consistent runner. He rarely is outside of the top 10. He takes home the checkers in this third Flying Tiger heat.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you had to pick a driver, maybe the most underrated Flying Tiger competitor, you might have a pretty good chance of picking that 51, as he always seems to get a strong run.
All right, stay with us. More racing action coming up on MotorSports Magazine. Up next, a late model sportsman heat. First heat for the late model sportsman on the Speedway. Tony Poisson and Galen Wood are in row 1. Row 2, we have Rod Weed and the 61 of Robin Wood. Row 3, it's Lonnie Lackalade and Norm Gay. Row 4, Ron Lamell and Glenn Wright. And row 5, Bucko Branham and Dave Gay. 10 cars in this first late model sportsman heat. We're underway. Green is out. Good start for Tony Poisson on the inside down the backstretch. Look out. Rod Weed goes around. Rod Weed spins the 6. He sits parked on the exit of turn 2, and this is going to bring out a caution. So the field slows as Rod Weed is parked on the inside of row 2. And he'll rejoin at the end of the field. Good start that time, Steve Hayes, for Tony Poisson on the inside. Looked like Galen Wood had some problems coming off of turn 2, but they're going to get to do it all over again.
You just mentioned what I was going to. It looked like Galen didn't quite have the right get up and go coming out of 4, but he'll have another chance to try to get the jump of the 42 machine.
All right, we'll keep it right here as they regroup the field. The track is clear. Nothing needs to be done to fix up the track, clean it up. So we will restart this first late model sportsman heat. Boy, having trouble with that tonight. And again, it's Tony Poisson and Galen Wood in the front row. Then it's Robin Wood and Lonnie Lackalade, Norm Gay, Ron Lamell, Glenn Wright, Bucko Branham, David Gay, and Rod Weed rejoins at the tail of the field. 10 cars come out of turn 4, and once again the green is out. Again, Galen Wood off the pace out of turn 2. Up at the front, it's Tony Poisson, the leader in the 42. Robin Wood runs second. Third is Norm Gay. Glenn Wright runs fourth. Fifth is Lonnie Lackalade. Sixth right now is David Gay, as contact for the third spot between Glenn Wright and Norm Gay. Lonnie Lackalade keeps his nose on the inside. Dave Gay looks to the outside in car 19. Side-by-side battle for fifth between Lackalade and David Gay. Here's Glenn Wright looking to the outside of Norm Gay. This is for third. Right now, Tony Poisson has a 3-car length lead over Robin Wood. Wood running second. You watch the battle for third. It's Norm Gay in the 50 and Glenn Wright in car 48. Lonnie Lackalade runs fifth. Sixth is Ron Lamell. Dave Gay runs seventh. Eighth is Bucko Branham. Ninth is Rod Weed. And Galen Wood runs 10th with 4 laps complete. Back at the front, Tony Poisson. Cruising so far in this first late model sportsman heat. Robin Wood runs second, and he is a good 10 to 12 car lengths behind. Norm Gay running third. Glenn Wright runs fourth. Fifth is Lonnie Lackalade. Sixth is Ron Lamell. Side-by-side battle for fifth between Lackalade and Lamell. Lonnie Lackalade has one feature victory under his belt this season. That time Lackalade high off of 2, and he's going to pay the price as Lamell moves to the inside for fifth. Norm Gay looks to the inside of Robin Wood for second. Wood shuts the door. 2 to go for Tony Poisson. He is out in front of the field with a comfortable margin over Robin Wood. Poisson as he heads into turn 3. And he comes out of turn 4 for the final time in this first late model sportsman heat. And he sees the checkered flag from starter Butch Henry. Second is Robin Wood. Norm Gay finishes third. Fourth to Ron Lamel. Fifth to Glenn Wright. Steve Hayes fans at home might want to note that Bucko Branham not finishing in the top 5 in this first heat. And if you heard the power plant on that 63 as he passed in front, seemed to be a lot of sputtering coming out of the 63 car.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He finished 7th in that field. That's a big disappointment for that crew, I guarantee you. I can tell you that Bucko and Robin had their cars at the fair this past week. I don't know what they do with them, but they had a lot of people go over, and they were giving away some merchandise for Airborne. But you're right, that power plant didn't quite seem up to par that time, but it's got a good crew. I think they'll work on it.
All right, there's the winner of the first late model sportsman heat, the driver from Alburg, Vermont, Tony Poisson. Second heat for the late model sportsman on the Speedway. Sitting on the pole, man who didn't have much luck going with him last week, Steve Renadette in the 76. On the outside, a man who did, Gordon Adams in car 55 with a strong top 10 finish last week. Ron Weston's on the inside of row 2, Billy Fountain's on the outside. Then it's Scott Carpenter, Peter Fecto. Row 4, Brent Dragon and Doug Hoare. And then row 5, it is Brian Hoare, Dave Whitcomb. And then shotgun on the field right now, Joe Thomas. Three wide into 2, Billy Fountain, the meat and the sandwich. Gordon Adams gets passed by everybody on the backstretch. Billy Fountain cuts it down into the 3rd spot. Ron Weston loose out of 2. And Fountain looks to his outside. Billy Fountain flies into 2nd. Steve Renadette well in front. Then it is Fountain. 3rd is Weston. Battle for 4th between Brent Dragon and Scott Carpenter. And you talk about another car that has a sick power plant. It's Joe Thomas in car 66 as he is running well behind the field. Matter of fact, he takes the car pit side. There you see Thomas heading into the pits. Brian Hoare, car 45, last week pulled off a big regional series win over at Thunder Road. And Hoare is on his way to the front of the pack. He looks to move underneath Scott Carpenter and claim the pit spot. Steve Renadette leads it. Carpenter finally gets the car down in front of Brian Hoare to claim the 5th spot. And we'll check in on the leader once again. Here's Steve Renadette. He leads it. 2nd, Billy Fountain. Fountain in car 91 with a comfortable lead over 3rd place runner Ron Weston. You see the difference on the backstretch. 4th is Dragon. 5th, Carpenter. 6th is Brian Hoare. 7th is Dave Whitcomb. Peter Fecto, 8th. 9th, Doug Hoare. Gordon Adams runs 10th, well behind the rest of the field. Dave Whitcomb looks to the outside of Brian Hoare. As they come out of turn 4, the white flag flies for Steve Renadette. There you see Billy Fountain running 2nd. And here's Renadette heading down the backstretch. Last week he did not start in the main event, as a matter of fact. By this time he was already on his way back to Vermont last week. But this week it's checker time for Steve Renadette. 2nd is Billy Fountain. 3rd, Ron Weston. 4th is the 0 of Brent Dragon. Fifth at the line, I believe it was Scott Carpenter, although it was very close. Sixth to Brian Hoare. Dave Whitcomb, 7th. Peter Fecto, 8th. And 9th to Doug Hoare in car 46. Gordon Adams rounds out the field in the 10th spot. And Steve Hayes, we talked about a role reversal, change of fortune for Steve Renadette this week. Earlier we saw in the Flying Tigers Mike Bushy blow a motor after winning last week. Well, it's the reverse this week for Steve Renadette.
Yeah, we mentioned in the opener that he suffered severely in the point standings because of it. A win tonight certainly would help, but it definitely will not make up for missing last week.
All right, there's the winner of heat number 2 in the late model sportsman. It is Steve Renadette. Stay with us, folks. A street stock heat is coming up next on MotorSports Magazine. 6-lap heat coming up for the street stocks. This is their first heat. Here's Steve Hayes.
On the pole in the orange 87, Rick Preston. He is joined by the 11 of Jim Varno. 11 automobiles set to take the green. Among them, our Fane car for tonight, the RC and Son sponsor number 1 machine. Tonight, the honors go to Brian Ingalls out of Randolph, Vermont. LaGrave in all sorts of trouble. Sonny Reeves gets a piece of him. No fault of Sonny there, as LaGrave was all over the front end. LaGrave faced the wrong way, quickly turns around. There is debris up in 2, and that will bring out the caution. So, not exactly the best start in the world for these guys, but they'll get another chance to do it all over again. Rob?
Steve, debris up in turn 2. Some of the pieces coming off of Curtis LaGrave's car 72 will have to be retrieved from the track. Of course, that's right in the racing groove. And couldn't think of a much easier way to cut a tire down than probably running over that material that is the inside of turn 2.
And you don't need to do that in this division, that's for sure.
All right, a complete restart coming up. All right, here they come out of turn 4 for the restart in the first street stock heat.
Preston, Varno take them to the stripe. The back end of the field still in turn 4 as they take the green. Couple of automobiles in this field you may not recognize. First appearances for 2 of them. The 35 is Brian Real. The white number 10 is Jason Ashline. But up front, it is the 87 of Preston and the 11 of Arno. Side by side out of 4. Behind him, the 01 of Nolan. All Keith Nolan wants is an opening. Behind them, the 39 of Reeves and the 71 of Broussard. Those 5 have pulled away. Brian Ingalls out of Randolph, Vermont with a Fane car. Not doing too well. It's starting to smoke, and it sounds like it's stuck in a low gear, to be honest. Nolan takes a lead. Rick Preston was thinking about trying to crowd into the inside. Finds an opening, gets in front of Varno to hold second. Third is Varno, 4th is Broussard, then some distance back to the 72 of LaGrave, who is currently running 5th. Big time smoke now from the Frechette Grocery RC Sons sponsored Fane car. Nolan is your leader, starting to pull away from Preston. Varno 3rd, Broussard 4th, LaGrave 5th, followed by Reeves, Real, Fountain, Misek, and Ashline. Change of position for second. Varno got to the inside of Preston, takes a spot away. The 72 of LaGrave is starting to catch up to the top 4. He is only about 3 or 4 car lengths behind the battle for 3rd, which is a good one. Broussard and Preston. Black flag given to the Fane car. To be honest, I'm not sure how he can see. The cockpit is filling up with smoke quite quickly. Last lap for Nolan. And the 01 machine with the car and a half, maybe 2 car length lead over Varno. But it starts to evaporate. In the turn, Varno caught up to him. And Nolan is not pull away in the stretch. If Varno can pull up again like that, he may have a shot at getting the win here. Varno dives to the inside. Nolan opens the door. Here they come, drag racing out of 4. It will be Nolan by half a car length over the 11 of Arno. Broussard slips up into 3rd. LeGray finishes 4th. Preston ends up 5th. But Rob, again, a street stock that hasn't looked all that strong the last couple of weeks, shows some signs of life. How about the 11 machine of Plattsburgh, New York's Jim Vardo? Caught right up to Nolan, and another lap or two may have won it himself.
Well, he made a strong move coming out of turn 4. He certainly knew what he wanted to do to try to make that last lap pass. And it almost worked, but I think he's probably just about 500 feet short.
Yeah, he needed another lap or two, but he'll have about 9 more when the main event rolls around, but then again, he'll have a few more cars to contend with as well.
A few more. All right, stay with us. More racing action coming up on MotorSports Magazine. Heat number 2 for the street stocks is on the Speedway. 6 laps the distance in this second heat.
Getting set for action with the 99 of Carey, the 37 of Parent to set them on their way. Row 2, Corey Trombley, Leo Dogan. In row 3, Bob Wells, Ralph Doss Jr. Then Sean Fountain, Dan Gibbs, Terry Gunnup, Brian Pugh, and Scott Wilson round out the field. Good looking start as they head into 1. Andrew Carey from the pole pulls away from Parent. The door is open for Corey Trombley, but he's not quite able to capitalize. Now it's a 37, shuts the door. 3 wide with Ralph Doss Jr., quickest of all on the outside. But he's going to lose some spots back coming out of 4 as he's forced to left. What a group of cars battling for positions 4 through 9. Unbelievable. 3 wide again. Dan Gibbs splitting a couple of automobiles to move up into 4th. That'll make it 5th as Wells fighting back. Here comes Sean Fountain on the inside. And Sean Fountain will take that 4th spot that I mentioned. It is Carey, Parent, Trombley. For again calling 4th, they're 3 wide. Inside out, Fountain, Wells, and Gibbs. Then Terry Gwinnett, followed by Brian Pugh, Leo Duggan, Ralph Doss Jr., and Scott Wilson. As long as they battle side by side behind him, Andrew Carey is in good shape to pick this win. The 99 started first. He hopes to finish there. But behind him, Corey Trombley slips by the 37 of Parent. But Corey's on the outside groove, and Parent takes the spot back. And Sean Fountain again dives to the inside. Dave Parent, the meat part of a sandwich, going down the backstretch. 4 wide. Terry Gunnup nailed the binders, and if he hadn't, we'd have had a mess right now. 2 to go for Andrew Carey. A half a straightaway lead on Corey Trombley. Fountain runs 3rd. Dan Gibbs runs 4th, followed by Parent, Gunnup, Hugh, and Wells. And now last week's feature winner, Terry Gunnup, found a racing group, dove to the inside, gained a position, and loses the back end. Now he gets it back. White flag for Andrew Carey. We haven't seen a lot of the 99 because all the action is happening behind him. If these guys do this for 15 laps in the main event, anybody who leaves early is going to regret it. Andrew Carey out of 4 to pick up the checker. Corey Trombley, a good run for 2nd. Dan Gibbs 3rd, followed by Sean Fountain and points leader Brian Pugh. But I'll tell you what, we sat through 3 qualifiers of Tigers, 2 qualifiers for late models, and now 2 for the street stocks. And Rob, I would say this qualifier is probably the best race we've seen so far tonight. It was real good.
Well, the race
all behind the leader, though.
The race was for 2nd as Carey checked out on the field, and he watched the race in his rearview mirror, which is what every driver wants to do. By the way, we apologize for the problems with the picture whenever the cars are coming out of 3 and 4. Obviously, you are dealing with the sun as well as the drivers. But a good win for Andrew Carey and a good job by Trombley to hold off the rest of the pack as they were all fighting very hard for that 2nd spot.
I'll tell you, though, the car I will be watching, he seemed awful quick, just didn't have a racing group, is last week's feature winner, Terry Gunnup. That 60 car was real quick whenever it had a place to race.
All right, stay with us. The Flying Tiger semi-features coming up next on MotorSports Magazine. All right, this is the Flying Tiger semi-feature. 10 laps the distance, and there's some good cars in this one, Steve.
Three guys had the opportunity to pick up a Triple Crown. Gary Woods, Mark Eddy, and the 99 upholstered Moon Miller. Miller starting first, but Ernie Holmes a complete row one. Row two, Spark LePan and Gary Woods. Off and away, Miller from the pole gets the early jump on Holmes. Ernie Holmes fortunate enough to get a groove to pull to the inside. He won't get lapped on the inside groove. Behind him, LePan, Gary Woods, Mark Eddy, followed by Williams, Bob Woods, Hutchins, and the 20 of Steve St. Clair. Last year's street stock champ, trying to win his second of the evening. He has a car length lead on Ernie Holmes, but Ernie right now has Gary Woods to the right side, and behind him, Sparky LePan. Big advantage here for Eric Williams as he makes a semi, and his nearest competitor, the 8 of Jason Leo, does not. Gary Woods sticks his car in front of Holmes in the battle for second. Will he be able to hold the position coming out of 4? It would appear so. Mark Eddy using the same group to take over third. And now Gary Woods is all over the back bumper of the leader, Moon Miller. Williams and Hutchins are mired in traffic. Williams now getting to the inside of Holmes, but he's not getting an easy job of it. Gary Wood content to run the second group, pulls right along the right side of the leader. Coming out of 2, it'll be a drag race for the lead. And behind him, Eric Williams has found some racing room, and he's moved into third. He has Mark Eddy to his right. Ernie Holmes curling around out the top 5. Trouble at 4, but they straighten it out. Bob Woods and Ernie Holmes came together with 2 to go now. Gary Wood had taken over the lead. Moon Miller trying to fight the points leader, Eric Williams. Eldred Hutchins behind this battle just did a beautiful move out of 2, split a couple of automobiles. But he has really no chance of making it up unless he gets a little bit of a break here. Yeah, with Bob Woods that time in 1, they got a little loose. There will be no cautions. He brings it back on the track. Now up front, Gary Woods' lead is almost nothing as Eric Williams has caught right up to the back bumper of the 15 lane. Oh, Eric Williams pits. The 77 of Eric Williams makes a hard right turn, and everybody in the semi, with the exception of Bob Woods, will finish better than him. And Jason Leo is saying, thank you very much. Big lead now for Gary Woods, whose nearest rival is Eldred Hutchins. Eldred, who had a lot of traffic difficulties, makes his way into what has now turned into second on the apparent demise of the 77 machine. But without a caution, Gary Woods will be 2 for 2 tonight, as he has 2 laps to go and 3/4 of a front stretch lead on the 37 of Hutchins. Mark Eddy runs third, followed by Moon Miller, Ernie Holmes, Sparky LePan, and Steve St. Clair. Hats off to Steve St. Clair, his second appearance of the entire year, and he runs in the semi. Checker flag honors befall the 53 machine again. Second to Hutchins, third to Eddy, followed by Miller, Holmes, LePan, and Steve St. Clair. 2 big stories there, Rob. After this one isn't too big. Gary Woods 2 for 2. We've seen that a couple of times this year. Big story, though, Eric Williams retiring early, and we have no idea what's wrong because he was running super quick.
Yeah, he was driving hard into the turn, and then all of a sudden, he took a direct right like he was headed for the McDonald's drive-thru.
And it's hard to believe it's a tire because the car never slowed down. I have got to believe that Eric was inside that car, either heard something he didn't like or felt something he didn't like and said it's not worth it and just brought the car in the pits.
Okay, there's the winner of his heat, now semi-featured. He's going to be a car to watch, as he has been the last 4 weeks. It's the 53 of Gary Wood. Stay with us. Late Model Sportsman semi-feature coming up next on MotorSports Magazine. The late model Sportsman semi-feature on the Speedway. 12 laps the distance. There are 11 cars. Paced by the 42 of Tony Poisson and the 61 of Robin Wood. Row 2, it's Lonnie Lackalade and Norm Gay. then Ron Lamel and Glenn Wright, Steve Renadette, Bill Fountain, Scott Carpenter, Brent Dragon, Brian Hoare in car 45, shotgun on the field. 11 cars to go 12 laps in the semi-feature for the late models. The green is out. Good start for Poisson and Wood. Contact into turn 2, and Glenn Wright's going to be down on the infield. 3 wide down the backstretch. Field comes hard out of turn 4. The yellow is out. Starter Butch Henry throws the yellow for Glenn Wright. Wright, you saw earlier this evening, Steve Hayes with the interview. And Steve Hayes, Glenn Wright, an interesting individual. Of course, the sponsor on the car, the Children's Miracle Network, and I believe Glenn had quite a role in starting that.
Yeah, I believe he did, and I'll tell you, he is a real nice guy to talk to. If there's one guy you go through the pits and it's always a pleasure to talk to, it is Glenn, because he knows a lot about racing. From, like you saw in the interview, he owned the Robbie Crouch car, so he's been around it quite a while. And now as a driver, he sees it from a different light, however.
All right, they'll start this late model sportsman semi-feature as they reset the field, and we'll come back with the action. You're watching Motorsports Magazine from Airborne. Okay, we're set to restart the late model sportsman semi-feature. We have Tony Poisson and Robin Wood ready to set the pace. Complete restart, no laps completed, as the 48 of Glenn Wright was parked down on the inside. Lonnie Lacolate's slow in the inside of row 2. Cars seem to bottleneck up behind Lacolate. Meanwhile, up at the front, it's Tony Poisson and Robin Wood. 2-car getaway from the rest of the pack. Steve Renadette looks to be running pretty strong as he tries the outside around Norm Gay down the backstretch. As he makes the move on Lonnie Lacolate, and now he tries to pick off Norm Gay. Renadette stuck on the outside, really going to have to work to pick off these spots. He's picked off Lacolate, and now he puts the car down. Oh, Billy Fountain, 3 wide. 3 wide, hard into turn 3. Battle for third. It's Steve Renadette to the inside of Norm Gay down the backstretch. Renadette won his heat. He started on the pole and won it easily. Now he's trying to get to the front on the late model sportsman semi-feature. As we have problems for Billy Fountain. Fountain is parked on the front stretch, and Steve Hayes, I think you had a view of that. What happened?
This is truly a racing incident, and it's unfortunate the way it happened. The 91 of Wild Bill Fountain broke. Clearly broke. The car died on the track. He would turn it to the outside groove so the traffic could get by. Ron Lamel Jr. came 2 wide off of 4. Really had no chance of missing him. And you can see the damage to the 91 and the 11. The front damage to the 91 came because he went head-on into the turn 4 retaining wall. Billy's A-okay, but hurt because that car is not in good shape, Rob.
Steve Hayes, we had noticed that Billy Fountain had his backup late model sportsman here this evening. Same was true last week when Steve Renadette was set to hop in the car. However, Billy had problems with this black 91 car. As Billy is not a very happy camper, and that's understandable. He has a lot of problems with car number 91. And it looks like Danny Bridges might be left out to dry once again.
Well, I'll get to that in a moment. The problem here is that there is a rule now where you tag the wall, you have the ambulance crew look at you. Billy wants to get back to the pit to work on that car, and they're saying you can't, you got to get in the ambulance. I think that's the problem. Now, as far as the Danny Bridges incident, I agree. We saw during the street stock qualifying, the second 91 pull in, we're guessing it was for Danny Bridges. We don't know, we're assuming that. But if it was for another driver, I think that driver went from, great, I've got a ride, to, oh no, I'm done for the night.
All right, well, we will look into that further as there are 3 laps complete in this late model sportsman semi-feature, and we'll have a restart when we come back. You're watching Motorsports Magazine from Airborne. All right, we're set for restart. Steve Hayes, Billy Fountain, and his crew there. You never know. They might have an opportunity to fix that 91.
Yeah, we got a good look at the car when it was towed by us, and it didn't look as serious as I thought it was. So they, Denny still may have a ride for later.
Poisson and Wood again to send them on their way as they come out of 4. The green is out. Steve Rennedet tucks it down into the 3rd spot. Robin Wood tries the outside around Poisson. They'll race down the backstretch. Side by side into turn 3. Wood with the nose out in front, but let's see if he can hold that position coming out of 4. Down the front stretch, it's nip and tuck. Rennedet looks to capitalize on any miscue. And it looks like Robin Wood, who's been working hard on the outside, is going to lose the spot. Scott Carpenter running in 4th right now, but he'll look to move underneath Robin Wood as well for 3rd, and he's gonna. It's Poisson, Rennedet, Carpenter, Wood. Glenn Wright runs 5th. They have separated from the rest of the field, which includes Norm Gay, Brent Dragon, Brian Hoare, Lonnie Lackalade, and Ron Lamel. Glenn Wright moves underneath Robin Wood for 4th. Wood bounced back to 5th. 8 laps complete for Tony Poisson. There will be 4 laps to go. Rennedet looks to the inside. Poisson opens the door. And Steve Rennedet's going to take over the top spot. Now Scott Carpenter looks to move underneath Poisson. He takes him high down the backstretch, and Carpenter will move into 2nd. Glenn Wright gets to the rear end of the 36, and he's going to take over 3rd. Poisson gets drop kicked back to 4th. As the leader is now Steve Rennedet, currently 7th in points. Last week in warm-ups, the engine blew, and he lost the double points which were awarded last week. Scott Carpenter on 2nd, Glenn Wright 3rd, Poisson 4th. Clear sailing right now for Steve Rennedet as he has received the white flag, and he has to negotiate 3 and 4. He comes out of turn 4, sees the checkers, and he's going to pick up the victory. Carpenter 2nd, Glenn Wright 3rd, 4th, Tony Poisson, 5th, Brian Hoare, 6th, Robin Wood, 7th to Brent Dragon. Steve Hayes, Steve Rennedet, car to watch this evening. He is 2 for 2.
He certainly is, and after last week's unbelievable bad luck, he could really use it, and some people say he deserves it. Now, Steve has 2 career late model sportsman victories, and he right now looks like a strong contender to make it 3 tonight.
All right, there's Steve Rennedet. He's won his heat. Now he's won the late model sportsman semi-feature. There's only one thing left that he could win this evening, and that's the late model sportsman feature, which will be coming up later on Motorsports Magazine. Stay with us. Coming up next, we have Flying Tiger feature highlights on Motorsports Magazine. Feature time for the Flying Tigers, 20 laps the distance, and as always, a strong field of cars. Steve.
24 of those cars that you just mentioned. The front row, Mike Wells and Moon Miller. A couple of drivers take the option to start at the back of the pack. Plug in Wilcox, Sorrell. All kinds of trouble between Hutchins and Eddy. The green will fly, however, and the first about 16 cars get a break as they put a little distance between themselves and the rest of the pack. Not sure what happened between Eddie and Hutchins, but they kept it going. The green was dropped on the field. Wells, your leader, 3 wide. Last week they tried this, and the 29 at Lamberton is not here because of it. This time it worked. For last week the grass was soaking wet. Mark hit it and flew into the turn 4 wall. 49 at Bushy, glad to see him make the main event. We thought he may have lost the engine. Big trouble, the inside groove going into 3. Several cars hit the binders, and some of them used the back bumpers of the guy in front of them to slow down. And one car on the move. He started 8th. He is up the 5th. Is our Triple Crown hopeful, Gary Wood. Wood is set, and he is about ready. Oh, look at this, 3 wide for the lead. The meat green 86 machine to drown. Pushing Holmes out of his way. Ernie's in trouble. Don't lose it now, Ernie. He would have had about 20 automobiles breathing down him if he'd have lost it there. Up front, Drown gets by Wells. 3rd is Ebersol, but for how long as Gary Wood storms past Ebersol, getting past Wells, trying to get into 2nd. They hit the stripe with 4 down. It's Drown, Wood, Wells, Ebersol, Fisher, Sawyer, and Brian Bushy. And it appears that the back half of this field is showing no respect to each other. Several automobiles just simply banging into each other. And all the leaders in the point championships are involved in that banging I just mentioned. It's a matter of time before something happens in the middle of the pack tonight, fans. We scan the field, make our way back to the front. You see the 53 of Wood all over the back end of Drown. Meanwhile, a little bit farther back, 3 wide action. Duquette, Hutchins, LePan, Mike Bushy, they all came in contact pretty hard up in 3. It is remarkable, fans. We have not had a yellow yet. 7 down, 13 to go. It is the Tyson Drown Gary Wood show. Mark Eddy trying to find race the room. He says, hey, I got to get out of this mess or I'm not going to finish this. Brian Bushy right in front of Bob Woods. Woods clips him. Bushy may have gotten tapped. I'm not sure, but he flew right in front of the 57 of Woods. Wood tried to avoid him, did get a piece of the 17. No caution on the track. Both those guys get him going. Drown and Gary Wood do not want a caution. They have about a 20 car length lead on the guy in 3rd who happens to be rookie Chris Fisher. Sawyer runs 4th, Ebersol 5th. Look at him come out of 4 wide. Jason, Leo, Mark, Eddy, Eldred, Hutchins running all together. Leo in trouble. Hutchins moves to the outside to make it a 4 wide position out of 2. Quickly changed into 3 wide as Eddy got in front of them all. Nobody watching the front of the pack as Gary Wood runs side by side with Drown, but in all honesty, I think everyone is just waiting for the other shoe to fall as it would. Figures someone is about ready to take a ride in the middle because a lot of banging going on. I can tell you the ACT president, Tom Curley, is about 10, 15 feet from me, and he is watching the middle of the pack, and he's shaking his head like he's not too happy about what he sees. Up front, Drown and Wood side by side. We have a spin on the infield. Ernie Holmes should not bring out a caution. Gary Wood doesn't want it because he's about ready to take the lead. Gary Wood leads lap 12. If he can lead lap 20, he will become a Triple Crown winner. But what about the 86 of Tyson Drown? Remarkable, this car is even racing tonight. In practice, he lost a wheel, put it up on his side, almost put it over, and they tag each other coming out of 4. Gary Wood, Tyson Drown, watching the side in between the two of them. Much easier to race with one guy than a group of about a dozen. Where are some of the bigger names as far as the point standings go? Well, Jason Leo is currently 7th, Eldred Hutchins 8th, Eric Williams 9th. I told you these guys always run together, fans. As a matter of fact, the battle for fifth in this field, Eddie, Fisher, Leo, Hutchins, and Williams. Remarkable to believe that there are 4 cars in front of those guys. Hutchins dives to the inside of Fisher. Fisher was running third, is back now to about 8th. Hutchins in trouble. The 37 of Eldon Hutchins came off of 4 very slow. A weeble, a wobble, and he's pitting it. I don't know if he has a flat, but he was definitely checking the handling on the car. And the 37 has gone to the pit. He's just past lap 16. There will be 17 down coming up. Gary Wood. There has not been a caution. Gary Wood has a 10-car lead on Tyson Drown, who has about 15 cars on the 3rd place, 74 of Danny Benoit. 4th is Benoit teammate Bill Sawyer. 5th is Leo, but he has Eddie and Williams right behind him. Trouble in 4. Steve St. Clair loops the 20, and Gary Wood says, why didn't you wait a couple of laps? The caution comes out, Rob. Gary Wood, I think you have to agree, pretty much had a Triple Crown in his back pocket.
Well, I think he's still going to be a favorite to pull off the victory with 3 to go. Couple of incidents, Steve Hayes. First of all, we never got a chance to talk about the start, but I don't know if you noticed, the Mark Eddy tried to get a good jump on the start, and in doing so, he made contact with the rear end of the 1. It was Jimmy Young who he came into contact with. And then another thing involving Mark Eddy, I don't know if you've noticed, but he has really had a great battle with Jason Leo getting to the front of the pack. I know right now Eric Williams has made his way around Mark Eddy, but what a battle in the middle of the pack. And for Eldred Hutchins, Hutchins made a move to the inside of Chris Fisher, and as he was making that move, Fisher came down on Hutchins on the right side, and I believe the front end broke on that car number 37, and that's why Eldred took it pit side.
An unfortunate break for Lewis, New York's Eldred Hutchins, because he was on a... Now, if you were to look at the top 5 right now, what a story, because you look at the leader, Gary Woodwell, there's not much more we can say about Gary. 3rd place is Benoit, 4th place is Sawyer. They are teammates, they came together their qualifier, but they're in line for top 5. 5th is Jason Leo, but how about the guy in 2nd, Rob? Tyson Drown. We have not seen a whole lot of Tyson Drown, but he was giving Gary Wood all he could handle and more.
Almost didn't even make it to this feature, Steve Hayes.
Yeah, I was mentioning that he lost the wheel in practice, and didn't Eldred Hutchins put the car up on his side and almost on its top. Thankfully, he did not, and I'll tell you what, he didn't damage that car, did he? Because it is running 2nd, and if Gary makes a mistake, we could have the 86 carrying a checker flag in 3 laps.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back for a restart with 3 remaining. You're watching Flying Tiger action on MotorSports Magazine from Airborne. All right, the restart lineup has been posted. A lot of cars scramble to rejoin at the tail of the field. Look out for row 3.
That is going to be the place to watch. Leo and Williams. We had mentioned all year, Eric Williams loves to go 3 wide into 1 on a restart. This might be the time for him to try to pull that move off. Here they come with Gary Wood and Tyson Drown leading up to the stripe with 3 to go. Eric Williams surprised us all. He simply ducked behind Jason Leo. Didn't want to open the door. Tyson Drown is stuck on the outside. Benoit gets by. Leo gets by. Williams wants to get by, but Drown is fighting back hard. Trouble on Bill Sawyer. Looks like he's lost a right front. The car is down. Caution will come out, and we'll get another restart. And Tyson Drown, I believe, will get his spot back, Rob.
Believe you're right, Steve Hayes. Really, it wasn't a good restart, as Sawyer had something going wrong with the car. And I would bet he has a flat tire, because coming off of turn 4 in that last restart, he had already been passed by Jason Leo and Eric Williams. And really, it was no fault of Leo and Williams, because they were going the pace of the cars on the inside row. And Sawyer was just completely off of the pace coming off of turn 4.
Wow, we're going to have to line them up, start again, and Gary Wood and Tyson Drown. They showed their hand once. Are they going to keep the cars the same, or are they going to change the plans a little bit?
17 restart, take 2. Steve Hayes.
The players remain the same in the front row. Gary Wood, your leader. Tyson Drown outside. A little bit of shuffling with the demise of Bill Sawyer. Row 2 now, Danny Benoit, Jason Leo. Row 3, Eric Williams, Mark Eddy. Row 4, Jimmy Young and Toby Ebersol running 8. In row 5, Bob Woods, Brad Duquette. But you got to wonder, maybe those first couple of rows, what the drivers are thinking. I'm sure Gary just wants to stand on it and make them pass him. Tyson knows the outside's not the place to be. And Danny Benoit probably wants to put some super glue in his front bumper and attach it to the back end of the 53.
Well, they're still working on the restart lineup.
We should mention, Rob, that when that sun went below the tree lines a few minutes ago, it got very cold up here. We mentioned earlier in the show, drivers were concerned about that, figuring the track would change.
Eldred Hutchins making his way back onto the Speedway. Eldred's got to be about 3 laps down.
Yeah, I'd guess 3 or 4, but very difficult to say with the cautions that came out that. He's been in the pits a while, but I don't think he's lost a whole lot of laps.
All right, now the restart lineup is correct.
Once again, Gary Wood, Tyson Brown, row 1, Benoit Leo, row 2, Williams Eddy, row 3, Young, Ebersol in the 4th row. Top 10 routed out by Bob Woods and Brad Duquette.
Gary Wood trying to hold on to the 53. Tyson Brown alongside.
And right now, these guys are saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do. They just hope that the guys around them don't have plans that'll alter them. 17 down, 3 to go. Gary Woods trying to pick up his 2nd career victory, and it would be a triple crown tonight if he did it. Tyson Drown trying to pick up career victory number 1. Here we go, Tyson very wide out of 4, but the momentum will allow him to run side by side with Gary Wood. If Drown has traction, he could get the lead, but he loses traction. Jason Leo is pinched. Drown came down the front end of Leo. Eric Williams benefits. Jason Leo got pinched off. We could add a major pileup short of 3 in that time. It is Wood, Benoit, Williams, Brown, and Leo. Let's remember that Orange 74 Benoit has won a triple crown this year. Points leader Williams has moved up to 3rd. 4th is Leo. 5th is Young. And Tyson Drown falls another position back. White flag for Gary Wood. 3/4 of a lap is all that is separating Gary Wood from his 2nd career Flying Tiger victory and a triple crown for this evening. Gary keeps it low. Benoit is not close enough. And as he comes out of 4, the Gary Wood crew goes crazy as he picks up another win and a triple crown. Danny Benoit 2nd, Eric Williams 3rd, Jason Leo 4th, Jimmy Young up to 5th. Unfortunate break for Tyson Drown. The outside groove with 3 to go on the restart proved disaster for him because he fell back to about 6th or 7th, Rob.
A 2nd win for Gary Wood in car number 53 and a well-deserved victory as he came from, well, let's see, Gary started in what, row 4 or 5?
Outside row 4, so he was 8.
So he started 8th and he made his way quickly to the front, took his time working around Tyson Drown, and Drown had a great run. But unfortunately, as you said on that restart, hung out to dry on the outside and he lost 3 or 4 spots.
And by finishing 3rd, Eric Williams yet again increases his points lead. And of course, he will be one of the favorites tomorrow at the Scenair Super Speedway. Late Model Sportsman main event will be up next. Rob Knowles will have the call, but for right now, congratulations go to the 53 driver and team, Gary Wood. A triple crown victory and his 2nd career Flying Tiger victory tonight at Airborne.
All right, there's our point leader and the man who finishes 3rd, Eric Williams. There's Eric. Finishing 2nd in car 74, Danny Benoit. There's Benoit. And the winner, yet to climb out of his car, the driver of car 53. That's Gary Wood. There he is. Stay with us. Late Model Sportsman feature action. Highlights coming up next on MotorSports Magazine. All right, it's feature time for the Late Model Sportsman. 21 cars to go 30 laps. Galen Wood and Rod Weed will pace the field. Then it's Robin Wood and Norm Gay. Row 3, Ron Lamel and Tony Poisson. Then back to row 4, it's Lonnie Lackalade and Glenn Wright. Row 5 finds the 63 of Buck O'Brien and Steve Renadette. Then it's Joe Thomas, Gordon Adams, Ron Weston, Scott Carpenter, Peter Fecto, Brent Dragon, Brian Hoare, Dave Whitcomb, Doug Hoare, Dave Gay, and Danny Bridges driving car number 9. Green is out. 30 laps the distance for 21 cars. 3 wide down the backstretch. Poisson to the inside. Norm Gay is off the pace on the outside into turn 3, and he's being passed by everyone. Down the backstretch, Steve Renadette quickly moving up through the pack, although Lackalade looks to move underneath the 76 car. Renadette won the semi-feature, won his heat, looking to go for 3 for 3 at checkered flags. Morrisonville, New York's Galen Wood runs out in top spot. Robin Wood currently running 3rd. Ryan Lamel runs 2nd. So it's Wood, Lamel, Wood. Rod Weed running 4th. A battle for 5th between Tony Poisson and Glenn Wright. Talked to Glenn Wright earlier this evening, and as you heard on the interview, Glenn said, you got to get that car hooked up on the outside if you're really going to run away, and that's what Doug Hoare did last week. Well, now Glenn is stuck on the outside, working his way around Rod Weed. Glenn Wright appears to be quick on the outside, looks to get around Rod Weed for the 4th spot. Meanwhile, the top 3 cars under a mattress as they pull away, coming down the front stretch. At the line, Wright has 4th. So Glenn Wright now runs 4th. Rod Weed back to 5th. Battle for 6th between Tony Poisson and Steve Renadette. Renadette appears to be very quick. We have a challenge for 2nd. Still Galen Wood in the lead in the 79. Ron Lamel right on his bumper. Robin Wood runs 3rd, and Glenn Wright is fast. Steve Renadette moves into the 5th spot. He makes his way around Rod Weed, and now he has about 5 or 6 car lengths to the battle for 3rd. And now that battle is joined by Glenn Wright. Glenn Wright moving around the outside of Robin Wood. And Glenn Wright is quick. Wright, the driver of the Children's Miracle Network, car number 48, is into the 3rd spot. Galen Wood leads it down the backstretch. Battle for 2nd now. Ron Lamel on the inside. Glenn Wright on the outside. They come out of turn 4 down to the stripe. Still side by side. Battle for 4th. Steve Renadette looks to the outside of Robin Wood. Meanwhile, for 2nd, they're still side by side into 3. On the inside, it's Ron Lamel. On the outside, Glenn Wright. Contact. Contact between Lamel and Wright is parked. Yellow is out. The yellow is out, Steve Hayes, and it's unfortunate because I think Glenn Wright had a car to beat.
Yeah, he was definitely in the line and maybe picking up that elusive first career victory here in this LMS division. He was running on the outside. Looks like he came in contact, but the hard turn to the right. I'm not sure if he broke something or maybe he just hit the brakes. I'm not sure what happened, because that car really turned in a hurry.
Now, he came into contact with the 11 of Ron Lamel. They were running side by side coming out of turn 4, actually heading into turn 4. I think it was relatively innocent contact between the two, but Wright paid the price as he veered to the right out off of turn 4. And the way Glenn was picking cars off on the outside, I really think he had a car to contend with.
I would have to agree. He was moving and doing it on the outside. I'll tell you, the restart, though, we saw Triple Crown in the Tigers with Gary Wood. May have another one right here. Outside row 2 will be that 76 of Reddit Eden. Tell you what, I don't think he'll finish that far back.
Glenn Wright gets a push back to the pits. And they will do some work on car number 48. Incidentally, Steve Hayes, who was my this evening and who was your pick?
Well, I asked Rob before the green. He said 76 will win it. I said, well, I'll tell you what. I like the chances of Doug Hoare with the 46. Rob right now, outside row 2. Doug is running about 9th or 10th, so one of us can still win this thing.
We're set for a restart in the late model sportsman feature with 11 laps complete. Galen Wood still leads it. And on the outside is the 11 of Ron Lamel. Inside of row 2 is Robin Wood, and on the outside, the car to look for, I'm afraid, is the 76 of Steve Renadette. Row 3, Bucko Branham in car 63, and the 6 of Rod Weed. Then it is Ron Weston and Tony Poisson, Joe Thomas and Doug Hoare, Scott Carpenter and Dave Whitcomb, and then Brent Dragon, Peter Fecto, Dave Gay, Norm Gay, Gordon Adams, and Glenn Wright. Green is out. Up at the front, Robin Wood looks to the inside, contact with Ron Lamel. Lamel goes spinning, and we got a mess. Just about everybody made it through, Steve Hayes, with the exception of Glenn Wright, who appears to have sheet metal damage. Yeah. Brent Dragon has some cosmetic damage on the front of his Bill's Body Shop Car Zero.
But the story is Steve Renadette apparently pitting the automobile or something. He pulls to the front, and I think he's heading toward pit row, Rob.
Well, he's got a flat tire, Steve Hayes. The left rear is flat.
Then he's definitely heading to pit road. Now, 11 down, 19 to go. Can Renadette come from the back of the pack to win it? I think that's a mite too tough.
All right. So there goes my favorite to win with 11 complete. We'll have another restart when we come back. Late model sportsman set to restart once again on lap 11. We'll set the field for you. Galen Wood, Robin Wood, row 1. Row 2, it's Rod Weed and Bucko Branham. Ron West and Joe Thomas are in row 3. Row 4, Scott Carpenter, Peter Fecto. Now watch out for the 36. Scott Carpenter has made his way nicely through the pack. Norm Gay in the 50. And his brother Dave is on the outside. Then Gordon Adams, although Dave is off the pace. David Gay is off the pace in the backstretch. Now he gets things moving. That kind of jumbles the order once again. Front of the pack is nice together, however, and they come out of 4. The green is out. Good start for Robin Wood. Real nice start for Robin Wood. Galen Wood takes him high down the backstretch, and Bucko Branham moves underneath for second. Now Robin Wood fights back on the outside. That was it's close down the front stretch. Galen Wood a little bit loose off of 2. Meanwhile, side by side, second. Bucko Branham to the inside of Robin Wood. Going on at the back of the pack, but things settle out. Branham now into the second spot. Looks to make his way around Galen Wood. He looks to the outside into 1. Now he looks to the outside into 3. Galen Wood a little bit loose off of the turns. Could this be the night for Bucko Branham with 15 complete? Halfway down. Again, he looks to the outside, down a backstretch. Yellow is out. Yellow is out. Glenn Wright, there he is, parked. The inside of row 2. Yellow is out. At the start of the night, appeared to be pretty promising for the 48 of Glenn Wright. But events of late, the last 5 laps for Glenn Wright, have not been kind.
That is for sure. He had a terrific race last week with double points on the line. If there's a problem tonight, he seems to be in the middle of it. It's not necessarily his fault. You know, something we have not mentioned a lot this year is the rookie standings. I say that because if you look at the top 4 cars, our top 3 rookies are there. Our leading rookie, 5th overall in points, Ron Weston. Our second leading rookie, the 61 of Robin Wood, is 14th in points. And the guy leading this race right now, Galen Wood, is 16th in points, and they're 1, 2, 3 in the rookie standings.
All right, the field has come back together nicely. And it looks like we're going to go green once again here. This time it'll be Wood and Branham. Wood and Weston, row 2. Carpenter and Thomas, row 3. Fecto and Normgay, row 4. Lamel and Weed. They sit in row 5. Those are the top 10 cars with 16 down, 14 to go. This time, Wood and Branham set the pace as they come out of turn 4 down to the stripe. The green is out. A good start for Bucko Branham. Branham cuts it down. And contact with Galen Wood. Branham goes around. Glenn Wright goes around again. And Glenn Wright is parked. Caution is out. Whoa. Ooh, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I think Bucko just pulling alongside, having a little word with Galen up there as the two came in contact pretty heavy, battling for the top spot on the restart. You know, Rob, people watching this race would think, what is the 48 of Glenn Wright doing out there? Every time there's a caution, he's part of it. Fans, it's not his fault. I mean, I don't want to belabor this point, but he just has not had any luck at all tonight, Rob.
Didn't see that one, Steve Hayes, but...
Oh, on the restart, Bucko started outside Galen, got in front going into 1. Galen fighting back on the inside. It was a situation 79 going up, 63 coming down. And usually when you touch in those positions, it's the guy on the outside who spins, and that's just what happened.
All right, as the safety crews attend to car 48, we'll take a break and come back with a lap 16 restart. All right, the safety crews have taken care of the Glenn Wright situation. Wright breaks an axle, and that will
end his night of misery. 16 complete. And now we have a couple of Woods on the front row. Galen and Robin. Weston Carpenter, row 2. That's a quick row. One that you will want to keep your eye on. Wood a little bit loose that time off of 2. Robin Wood tries it again on the outside as they head into 3. That time Robin Wood is loose and he's going to lose second to Ron Weston. Weston into second. Scott Carpenter takes third. Joe Thomas looks to move underneath Robin Wood, who's stuck on the outside. Thomas with a new power plant under the hood. Information sent this way by Steve Hayes. Steve earlier this evening in the pits speaking to the crew of that 66 car, new engine. Didn't sound too good earlier this evening, but right now it is purring out there as Joe Thomas is up to 4th. 10 laps to go. There'll be 9 this time by. 21 complete. Galen Wood, Ron Weston, tight racing at the front. Scott Carpenter is a car length behind Weston, running 3rd. Then 4th is Joe Thomas. Weston looks to the inside of Wood. Steve Renadette making his way up from the back of the pack. He currently running in the 7th spot. Before this one's over, he might have a say, but I think he's going to need some caution to help him out. "23 laps complete. This time by, there will be 6 to go for Galen Wood. Galen Wood leads it. Ron Weston runs 2nd. Running 3rd, Scott Carpenter. 4th is Joe Thomas. Peter Fecto 5th. 6th, Robin Wood. 7th is Steve Renadette. Fecto looks to the inside of Joe Thomas for the 4th spot. Peter Fecto's got it. Whoa, contact between Robin Wood and Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas is parked. And the yellow is out. And there you see the right front of Robin Wood as he came into contact with Joe Thomas, that time heading into turn 3. Robin Wood takes the car pit side, and Joe Thomas has the car under power. He will rejoin at the rear of the field. But I'll tell you, Steve Hayes, that's exactly what Steve Renadette needed, who has made his way quickly from the back of the pack. He now is running 5th with 6 to go.
I was just going to point that out with 24 down and 6 to go. So far, Galen Wood has been green to, well, checker this far, but of course has not fallen yet. He has had everything go his own way. Ron Weston only has 1 career late model sportsman victory, but it was a big one. It was a regional at Thunder Road that sent him as that track's representative to Oxford. Those 2 guys are very hungry for a win. But let's remember that guy sitting 3rd is the defending late model champion.
Galen Wood has won semi-features. He's won heats. Can he pull home his first feature victory of the year? And he's going to do that. He's going to have to hold off the likes of Ron Weston and defending track champion Scott Carpenter. Peter Fecto has made his way quickly to the front. I'll tell you, Fecto has been a consistent runner the last 2 or 3 weeks as he has made his way from the back to top 5 finishes each of the past couple of weeks.
And that's moved him into 3rd overall in the points standings. You know, Galen Wood's had a reversal of fortune. Last few weeks, early in the qualifiers and the semis, he runs super fast. The main events, he has problems. He did poorly in his qualifier tonight by his standards, but everything's went his way so far in the main event.
You know, that could be the common theme for the night. What a difference a week makes for some of these drivers.
Oh, it definitely makes a difference for Steve Renadet, who is pulling up. Is he going to the pits again, Rob?
Looks that way, Steve Hayes, and I think he's got another left rear flat tire. He does.
All right, I'll tell you when he first pitted.
No,
early,
I take that back. It's the left front.
Yeah, when he first pitted, I said I doubt he could make his way from the back to the front. He almost proved me a liar. I very much doubt he'll do it now with 6 to go.
I agree. And we'll come back to Motorsports Magazine in just a second. All right, we're set for a restart with 24 laps complete. Joe Thomas will rejoin at the rear of the field. There you see Thomas exiting the pits. Steve Renadet still in the pits. Looks like he's going to lose a lap. Car 76. It's Galen Wood and Ron Weston. So far, Galen Wood's been successful at holding off the challenges of Bucko Branham. He's held off the challenges of Robin Wood, Ron Lamel, Glenn Wright. Now Ron Weston steps up to the plate, and he's got his shot. They're going to take another lap, apparently waiting for the 76 of Renadet. So they'll give him a courtesy lap, see if he can rejoin at the rear of the field. With 6 to go, they run this way. Wood is first. Second is Weston. Running third right now, Scott Carpenter. Running fourth, Peter Fecto. Fifth, Ron Lamel. Sixth, Norm Gay. Seventh, Brent Dragon. Eighth, Dave Whitcomb. Ninth is Rod Weed. 10th, Lonnie Lackalade. Bucko Branham runs 11th. 12th, Tony Poisson. 13th, Gordon Adams. 14th on the Speedway is Joe Thomas. Here they come out of 4 down to the stripe. The green is out. Galen Wood gets the car down the backstretch. Scott Carpenter looks to move underneath Ron Weston. Carpenter takes over second. Ron Weston's hung out to dry. Ron Lamel wheel down on the inside of the dirt to get underneath Weston. He tries to take third. Can't do it. Yellow is out. Yellow is out once again. As we have a spin in turn 4, several cars involved. One of them, the 63 of Bucko Branham.
The other, the 6 of rookie Rod Weed. I'll tell you what, Rob, Bucko Branham did something a lot of drivers would not do there. He had spun, the field was coming at him. He could have dove to the inside of the track, maybe messed up a driver. He actually drove his car into the wall to prevent really having anyone else get involved in the accident.
All right, we'll have another restart. They did not complete a lap, so Ron Weston will be back on the outside of Galen Wood. Set for another restart on lap 24. Gordon Adams will rejoin at the rear of the field. Wood and Weston. Last time on the restart, Galen Wood with a good jump on the inside. Ron Weston looked as though he was very concerned with getting the car down to the inside. So maybe Weston feels his best shot is getting it into second and then trying to make a move on Wood from the inside. Here they come off of 4. Another good start for Galen Wood. Weston cuts the car down right in front of Scott Carpenter. Carpenter lifts, and that allows Weston to hang on to the second spot. Peter Fecto is now hung out to dry. He's going to lose spots. 5 to go for Galen Wood. The battle is for 5th right now on the Speedway. It's between Brent Dragon, Peter Fecto, and now Dave Whitcomb joins the fray. Galen Wood leads it. Ron Weston is second. Third is Scott Carpenter. Fourth is Ron Lamel. Fifth, Brent Dragon. Sixth, Dave Whitcomb. Seventh, Peter Fecto. looks strong as he heads down the backstretch. There will be 2 to go this time by for Galen Wood. You know he's got to be gripping that steering wheel pretty hard right about now as he sees the 2 to go sign from Chief Starter Butch Henry. Ronnie Weston runs second. Third is Scott Carpenter. Fourth is Ron Lamel. Brent Dragon fifth. Sixth is Dave Whitcomb. Seventh is Peter Fecto. Norm Gay runs eighth. Ninth is Lonnie Lackalade, and Tony Poisson is 10th. The white flag flies for Galen Wood. Can he hold off Ron Weston? Out of 2 down the backstretch. Wood leads by a car length and a half. It would be a popular victory if he can hang on. Into turn 3. Out of turn 4. Down to the stripe. The winner is Galen Wood. Second to Ron Weston. Third to Scott Carpenter. Fourth to Ron Lamel. And fifth to Brent Dragon. Sixth, Dave Whitcomb. Seventh, Peter Fecto. Steve Hayes, good run for Galen Wood in car 79.
A green to checker win from the pole. You don't think Galen has fans? You should see along the fence right near the start-finish line. Galen Wood, a veteran of racing here. Back, of course, when it was dirt, he had the dirt-modified Coca-Cola sponsored 79 machine, but he did run the asphalt here before the days of dirt. So he has been inside a race car this track for many a years. Made his return to the asphalt here at Airborne this year. Brent Dragon giving him a thumbs up. Hard-earned victory for Galen Wood, but as you said earlier, Rob, boy, to hear it. Robin Wood, Bucko Branham, Ron Weston, they all took their shots. What's it to be as a 79 machine? Had everything dialed in to pick up his first career late model sportsman main event victory.
Well, I'll tell you, Galen Wood is enjoying this trip around the track. Now he's going to pick up some speed, as it's been a while for Galen Wood carrying the checkers around in a feature event. As we said earlier, he's won semi-features, he's won heats. The only thing that was not in the puzzle was a feature win, and tonight he's got #1 on the season.
That's the good news for Galen. Bad news is now that he's won one of these, he's not going to be able to start up in that front row again. He's going to have to work past a few cars if he wants to win another one.
Finishing third, Scott Carpenter, driver of car 36 out of Waterbury, Vermont. There's the car. There he is. Scott Carpenter, driver of the 36. Finishing second, there's Ron Weston, car 35. And the winner, driver of car 79 from Morrisonville, New York, Galen Wood. Galen Wood wins it. And there he is. Pretty happy down in Victory Lane, and good for him, Steve Hayes.
He struggled with that car when it first showed up. You may remember the first couple of weeks, but ever since he won that first qualifier, he has figured, hey, I am due to win a main event. Tonight was the night for Galen, and he's got a couple of more races this year, but as I said, he's going to have to work from a little farther back in the pack.
All right, there he is. Galen Wood wins it. The final event for the evening is on the Speedway. It's the Street Stocks, who have a 15-lap main event.
21 of these machines take to the Speedway with Rick Preston and Jim Varno to set them on their way. 15 licenses, as Rob said. Cars you may want to keep your ear out for and maybe an eye for as you watch the tape. Brian Pugh, Ralph Doss Jr., Terry Gunnup, Dan Gibbs, all start near the back of the pack, but they have shown they can move to the front in a hurry. They're going to be 3 wide coming out of 4. Bob Fow drove to the inside. Thought this might not be a good idea. Tucked it back in. Ken Misick driving about the 5th groove, letting everybody get under him. He has a good view of the right side of all of his competitors. Up front, Varn over the outside pole. Battling pole sitter Preston. Trouble in 3. Sonny Reeves turns it around. No caution. He refires. It will be Varno, Preston, Bowden, LaGrave, and Brassard, your top 5. More trouble up in 4. The white number 10 of first-time competitor Jason Ashline spins. He refires. The field is well spread out.
Pugh, flat tire.
Exactly. Brian Pugh pits. He's the leader by, I believe, 22 points in the championship standings. All kinds of trouble coming out of 4. As there were 3 or 4 cars that were going in the wrong direction.
What a break.
Yeah, someone's dumped a bunch of fluid, Rob. Up in 1-2, you can see it. And I wonder, maybe that was from Brian.
It very well could be. I believe he's the only car that is pit.
That's my point. It goes into the pits, and I haven't seen anyone else other than the points leader pit. So I think Brian Pugh has a problem, and this is really going to make it interesting. And Dan Gibbs is very close behind and might just take the points lead at the end of tonight.
All right, we'll have a restart when we come back to more street stock action on Motorsports Magazine. All right, 1 lap complete when the caution flag flew, and Steve Hayes, the car that was putting the fluid down on the track, points leader Brian Pugh, and this could really shake things up as there aren't too many points separating Pugh and the cars that are trailing him.
Well, actually, 22 points separates Brian Pugh from Dan Gibbs. Third in the standing, Terry Gunnip, only 74 points behind. Nobody else within 100 points, so this could definitely shake things up. Varno and Preston take him to the green. Qualifiers were won by Andrew Carey and Keith Nolan. They're battling for position right now on the track, about 6th and 7th. But the story of qualifying was the 11 of the current leader, Jim Varno. He ate up a bunch of ground, almost took a win, and he was super quick, a little quicker than we are used to seeing from him. So no surprise that he's starting to pull away from this field. Battle for second to the inside, the black 72 being driven by Curtis LeGrave, the orange 87 of Rick Preston. Bob Fountain sliding in front of Broussard. No contact, but a couple of heartbeats were skipped there. Fountain refires, continues on, and actually continues right on into the pits. Hood on Brian Pugh's car is still up, obviously down a couple of laps now, so he is definitely in line perhaps to lose the points lead tonight to the 92 of Gibbs. Of course, we could have problems with the 92. It's a long race. Jim Varno right now will have 4 down and 11 to go when he hits the stripe. And he currently, as he comes out of 4, has about a dozen car-length lead over LeGrave. Good battle for 3rd. Inside Broussard, outside Preston. The battle for 5th just as good between Nolan and Carey. Remember, those are the 2 heat winners tonight. The 0-2 of Scott Wilson dropping a lap. The last time around, he spun in 2, and that's why the field caught right up to him. 5 down, 10 to go. It is Varno, LeGrave, Broussard, Preston, Carey, Nolan, Gibbs, Parrott, Duggan, Doss, Wells, and Gwinnett. Dan Gibbs moves into 5th. Brian Pugh sitting in the pits, can't do a thing about it. But he will have 5 more racing shows to contend with it. The story right now, though, is that Jim Varno is starting to check out on the field. The 11 machine has come to light tonight. LeGrave runs second, Broussard third, followed by Preston, Carey, and Gibbs. And there's not much Jim Varno can do except try to keep trouble on the front stretch. 99 of Andrew Carey involved. Backs it down to the middle of the track. Everybody avoids him. Trouble coming out of 4. Didn't see how it started. Saw how it ended, though. It ended with a 99 of Carey tasting the concrete, Rob.
By Steve Hayes, we were following the leaders into turn number 1, so you nor I nor the fans at home had a good view of that incident on the front stretch.
Well, I think, yeah, someone's to blame. Looks like Lake Placid, New York's Rick Preston. Black flag in Chief Starter Butch Henry's hand. Didn't actually give it to him, but he might be saying back of the pack. I don't know. As I said, we did not see what happened, so we can't really say anything about this. But let's talk about Varno. He is awful quick tonight, Rob.
He is, and he's got some good cars that are making their way up through the pack, including the Gibbs car, number 92. So he's going to have his work cut out for him yet. You wait and see, Steve Hayes.
Oh, the first 6 were easy. These next 9 might be tough because, as you said, Dan Gibbs will be outside the second row, and that car traditionally comes to life the last part of the race, and Varno hasn't hit that stage yet.
Six down, Steve Hayes. Should be a good finish.
Should be a great restart, too. Varno LaGrave, row 1, Broussard, Gibbs, row 2, Nolan Perrin in row 3. Doss, Duggan, Gwinnett, and Fountain round out the top 10. 0-2 of Scott Wilson mixed in there, but he is 1 lap down. 6 down, 9 to go in the last event of the evening. Varno and LaGrave take the green. And here comes Dan Gibbs, a la Eric Williams, putting it 3 wide, but it didn't quite work. Now he gets the momentum coming off, too. He will get LaGrave on the backstretch, and he might be awful close to the 11 of Varno if he could just tuck down. Trouble at 2, Gwinnett and Wilson involved. Caution may come out, and it does indeed. And we're going to have to do this all over again. That time out of 2, 3-4 cars came together. Wilson continues. The 60 of Terry Gwinnett, who run last week and was a contender this week, has stopped motion and looks like he is unbuckling and getting out of the car, Rob.
What's the common theme for the night, Steve Hayes?
If you had a good week last week, well, actually, what a difference a week makes. Is that what you mean?
That's the common theme for the night.
Yes, yes, indeed. That is the theme. And if that holds true for next week, any Flying Tiger guy who had a bad week this week looks strong for the 100-lapper.
Oh, if that holds true next week, the 53 team could be in for a long week. But
if it holds true, the 53 team may not qualify.
Nah.
I'm going to hear about that comment, aren't I?
I think we're searching for something. But it is weird that all of these cars who did well last week are having trouble this week.
And let us remind you that the reason we say may not qualify, I mean, we think you'll qualify, but we expect a whole bunch of Flying Tigers that you're not accustomed to seeing. 100 laps of scheduled distance, and that generally will make a few guys come over.
Another restart for the street stocks. Here's Steve.
Varno, LaGrave in row 1. Broussard, Gibbs row 2. Nolan Perrin occupy row 3. Doss, Duggan in row 4. Fountain and Wells round out the top 10. Only 18 street stocks remain running at this stage. 6 down, 9 to go again. Varno gets into it. He'll keep the lead. LaGrave tucks to the comfortable inside groove. Gibbs left up on the high side, but I think that's exactly where he wants to be in the orange and white 92. Again, passes LaGrave on the backstretch. Can he take the top spot? He's going to lose second back because he's running wide. Well, that didn't work, Dan. Let's try something new. And trouble in 4. Wilson and Fountain go side by side, do-si-doing. They have refired. Do not believe there'll be a caution. One car that is starting to move, he is up to 6th to 91 of Sean Fountain. His dad, Bill, was not able to start his main event. Sean hoping to make amends for the family. Well, the 41 of Fountain very slow in the inside groove. May necessitate a caution after all. Varno, LaGrave run 1-2, but side by side with Broussard and Gibbs. Curly Nolan round out the top 5. Fountain's 41 is not moving, and it is entirely too close to the racing surface. It'll bring out a caution, Rob, but we learned something on that restart. We learned that Jim Varno is fast at any point in the race.
Sure is, and Gibbs has now tried the outside on 2 occasions, and it has not worked for him. Although, thanks to the caution, he will pick up 1 spot as it goes back to the last completed lap, so he will be put back into the 3rd position ahead of the 71 of Broussard.
Which will be an inside position, which is exactly what he wanted, to be on the leader's back bumper.
8 down, 7 to go, just past the halfway mark. And the question now, can the 11 car, Jim Varno Jr., hold off the 92 that's now right behind him?
Well, we mentioned Gibbs needed the inside groove. He's got it. Curtis LaGrave on the outside of the first row better give serious consideration here to try to jump the leader, because I don't think Dan Gibbs will open the door for him. They come out of 4, and that's exactly what Kurt LaGrave attempts to do. Drives it wide out of 4, gets a bunch of momentum, will run side by side, door pedal to door pedal with the leader, but as they come out of 2, you see why being on the outside is not the place to be. He loses second to Gibbs. LaGrave back to 3rd, although he's not quite content. Well, now he's got to give it up. Good battle for 4th. Inside out, Broussard and Fountain. Everybody behaved themselves very nicely through that set of turns as everyone tries to gain positions. Broussard gets the position on Fountain. Door opens up for Nolan in the battle for 5th. He can't capitalize yet. Up front with 5 to go. Gibbs goes to the outside again, and this time he is trying a different line. He drove it a little different into the turn. He'll try to cut underneath them. Oh, he gave a thought about it. Varno blocked him, so he went back to the outside. We have trouble in 2. The 37 apparent spins, and he simply refires, continues on. Obviously, I can't be positive, but I think what Dan Gibbs is trying to do is run alongside the leader, and then when they exit the turn, try to dive underneath. Not going to work now as LaGrave gets to the inside of Gibbs, and Dan Gibbs is going to have to do all his work in the outside groove now. Will be 3 to go next time by. Oh, big time trouble. Varno loses a wheel, and he's going into the turn 4 wall, puts it up on 2. Now, he had a lot of time to brake. He had a lot of time on the binders, even though he lost a wheel, which goes flying through turn 4 now. He slowed down the car quite a bit, Rob, so that softened the cushion, although it was still a pretty hard hit. The car went up on 2.
Well, that could have been a very dangerous situation. And as it is, I think Varno was able to slow the car enough that hopefully he will be okay in car 11. But a tough break.
Well, the advantage there was that he lost the wheel so early, knew he was heading toward the wall, couldn't steer the car. He hit the brakes, and I'll tell you, he did slow it up quite a bit, but it was still a pretty hard shot. They'll go over safety personnel and check on him. That means that LaGrave and Gibbs will be in the front row, but Broussard Fountain will be behind him. And I'll tell you what, that 91 car has been sneaking up through the pack, running about the same speed as the leaders. Even though Gibbs and LaGrave look fast, don't count Sean out of this one.
Dan Gibbs will be on the pole on this restart because the last completed lap, Gibbs was still in second. So that's where he will be when we have a restart with 4 to go. You're watching Motorsports Magazine from Airborne.
A lot of fortunate drivers in the street stock.
Regular show for these streets.
All right, 4 to go. Steve Hayes, what's coming up next week?
Well, next week, a regular show for these street stocks on our late model sportsman. We will highlight and feature the Flying Tigers with a 100-lap main event. The Tigers will get to line up on the infield pits, and some of those guys will have to pit during a 100-lap main event. Interested to see how some of the crews handle that being in the highlights. LaGrave gets the jump on Gibbs, and it was an easy job. I'm not sure Dan Gibbs missed it. Whoa, we have trouble in 1. The 35 machine goes spinning around and around his world. Not exactly how he gets it straightened out. There will be no caution, and there's big-time problems on Dan Gibbs. He is back to 5th. Thought maybe he missed a shift or something, but
Fountain's going to get the lead.
Sean Fountain will take the lead with 3 to go. And if he picks up this win, he's going to tell his dad, hey, don't race your main event anymore. It's lucky for me. Black flag to the 35 machine. Fountain is your leader, and Dan Gibbs is going backwards in a hurry, and Brian Pugh may be the happiest guy here. He might retain that points lead after all. You can see the car, and you can get a good look at it because it's not moving too fast. It is about to go to the pits, 2 laps short of the distance. Unbelievable bad luck for Dan Gibbs, but let's remember, Brian Pugh had worse luck. There are 2 to go. They didn't get the signal that time by, but I think these drivers know. Besides, they'll get the white next time. They'll definitely know. It is Fountain, LaGrave, Bob Wells up to third, Doss Jr. fourth, and Broussard fifth. Lap traffic coming into play. Jason Ashline with a white 10. And the checker flag comes out that time. Did I miss a lap somewhere, Robbie? They went from 13 to 15, I think. Well, all right, we'll call it as it happened. Sean Fountain picks up a win. It might be his first of the year. I'll have to check, but either way, good win for Sean, who was fifth or sixth on the restart. Obviously took advantage of Dan Gibbs' misfortune, but he really did do a job getting in front of LaGrave, who hung out for second. Wells third, Doss Jr. fourth, Broussard fifth. But once again, Rob, good run for the 91.
Things went his way after the lap 11 restart. Gibbs went into the pits. He had mechanical problems, and while the thing seemed to bottleneck in front of Gibbs and behind Gibbs, Fountain was able to get through the mess, and he was able to take home the victory in this street stock main event.
First win of the year for the 91 in the street stock division, Sean Fountain. He came in about 8th or 9th in points, so he's trailing the lead by quite a bit because he had a lot of misfortune earlier this season. But right now, all he's thinking about is, I was first tonight, and maybe I can get a couple more of these before the year ends.
All right, Steve Hayes, recap the top three for us.
Picking up the top honors, the 91 is Sean Fountain. Second to the black 72 of Kurt LaGrave, who almost picked up the win. And the white 81 of Bob Wells, who didn't seem to be in contention the last restart, made himself in contention. He'll finish third tonight.
Steve Hayes, final comments on the racing card this evening here at Airborne.
Well, let's talk about the street stocks first. First-time feature winner here, Sean Fountain. As I said earlier, more or less trying to make amends for the misfortune of his father in the late models, who never got to start the main event in that division. In the Flying Tigers, what can we say? Triple crown for Gary Wood. It was just a matter of when it was going to happen. The car has been oh so strong. Triple crown tonight, his second career win in that division. And Galen Wood goes green to checkered in the late model sportsman division, his first win of the year.
All right. Congratulations to all of the winners. And next week, here at Airborne, of course, the Flying Tigers will receive top billing with their 100-lap main event. Also on hand, the late models and the street stocks. For Steve Hayes, this is Rob Knowles. We thank you for joining us on MotorSports Magazine. And we look forward to seeing you next week right here on your local public access channel. As well, we look forward to seeing you at Airborne. Thanks for joining us. Once again, for Steve Hayes, I'm Rob Knowles. We will see you at Airborne.